featured several colorful and oddball goaltenders, and no one personified this slightly unhinged persona more than Gary Suitcase Smith. The happy-go-lucky Smith left his mark wherever he played, while often enduring a nightly bombardment of pucks while backstopping horrible franchises. But despite his fun-loving persona, the pressures of hockey drove him to a nervous breakdown, and he was once in such a depressive state that he thought he was on the brink of death. Gary Smith's wild career was full of meteoric highs and devastating lows, and while he brought great joy to fans and teammates alike, he'd also suffer unspeakable personal tragedy. This is the story of Gary Smith, a talented and eccentric goaltender you'll never forget. Gary Smith was born February 4, 1944 in Ottawa, Ontario. He was the son of Des Smith, who played 5 NHL seasons as a defenseman with the Montreal Maroons and Canadiens, and won a Stanley Cup with the 1941 Boston Bruins. His brother Brian Smith also played in the NHL with the LA Kings and Minnesota North Stars, and later became a popular sportscaster in Ottawa. Gary Smith broke into the NHL with the Toronto Maple Leafs in 65-66, but played just 5 NHL games over 2 seasons. With just 6 teams in the NHL, and competing against future Hall of Famers Johnny Bower and Terry Sawchuk, as well as fellow youngsters Al Smith, Bruce Gamble, and Jerry Cheevers, Gary Smith was constantly moved among the Leafs' 4 minor league teams, spending the most time in Rochester, where he teamed with notables like Don Cherry and Al Arbor. All this traveling earned him the nickname Suitcase. The 1967 NHL expansion gave Smith and many others the break they needed. He was selected by the Oakland Seals and would be the backup to veteran Charlie Hodge in 67-68. Smith posted a solid 3.19 goals against average, but recorded just 2 wins in 16 games. Meanwhile, Smith became a curiosity to his Seals teammates with his routine of removing all of his uniform and equipment between periods, showering, and then getting dressed again for the next period. He also perplexed team trainers by wearing so many layers of socks that he had to wear skates that were 3 to 4 sizes too big. Smith also made a big impression when he frequently skated all the way up the ice in an attempt to be the first goaltender to score an NHL goal. Although fans loved it, the NHL soon passed the Gary Smith rule, prohibiting goalies from skating past their own blue line.
He does the center with Hellman and Ellis. He goes to Henderson. Center to Rick Buckle. Rick Buckle. Here's shot. Here's Gary Smith getting up to center right. And he shoots it down the ice.
At 6'4" and 215 pounds, Smith was a huge goalie for his time, and new Seals coach Freddie Glover liked big goalies. So in 1968-69, Smith assumed the Seals' starting role, logged 4 shutouts, and posted a 2.91 goals against average as the Seals reached the NHL Western Division playoffs. The hard-partying Smith also began earning reputation off the ice as well. According to Smith, he adopted the Seals' team motto, quote, "Do your best. And if that's not good enough, get hammered." According to teammate Dennis Hextall, quote, "Like a lot of goalies, his elevator wasn't going to the top floor, although sometimes he was facing 50 shots a night." Added Bert Marshall, "When he had it going, he was as good as there was, but he couldn't keep it going. He loved to play, but couldn't devote himself to being a great player." In 1969-70, Smith played 65 games, and the Seals earned another playoff spot. So optimism was high for the 70-71 season as new owner Charlie Finley took control of the team. Smith appeared in 71 of the 78 Seals games, but set an NHL record with 48 losses as the team sank to last place in the West. The nightly losing became too much for even the affable Smith. He suffered a nervous breakdown at season's end and was hospitalized. Smith recalls, quote, "We were never winning. There was nobody in the stands. The puck seemed like it was always in our end. While I was in the hospital, I literally thought I was going to die." Realizing he needed to leave the Seals, Smith requested a trade and was dealt to the Chicago Blackhawks for Paul Schmier and Gilles Melange. With the talented Blackhawks, Smith served as a backup to Tony Esposito, and together they won the 1971-72 Vezina Trophy. But Smith is still haunted by a colossal error he made in Game 3 of the first-round playoff loss versus the New York Rangers.
Stapleton stole
for the puck, not able to keep it in. Gary Smith, the goaltender, out of the crease to stop it, and then puts it in front. Inadvertently, Tkachuk takes speed, and a goal! Bruce McGregor.
In the next season, Smith would again play sparingly, and Esposito would lead the Blackhawks to the Stanley Cup final, where they'd lose to the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games. Looking to play regularly, Smith demanded a trade and was dealt to the Vancouver Canucks, along with Jerry King Kong Korab, in exchange for Dale Talon. Smith not only became a fan favorite, but he turned out to be one of the best players to ever wear the Vancouver Canucks uniform. But his initial experience with the team was miserable. In Smith's words, we had 18 guys in the front office and none of them had any power to do anything. Nobody from the Canucks was even talking to the players about signing new contracts. The troubles of the team reached a boiling point when Smith chose not to join the team on their trip to Chicago for a match against the Blackhawks. Up until that point in the 73-74 season, he had played 43 of the team's 49 games. So Smith would finish the season with a record of 20-33-8 and was named the team's MVP. In the offseason, Vancouver hockey legend Phil Maloney was given full control of the franchise's coach and general manager. And then the team was sold that summer to Western Broadcast Sales, a local broadcasting company. These changes ushered in a new era for Vancouver Canucks hockey and manifested themselves in a greatly improved on-ice product. The 1974-75 season was easily Smith's best, as the Vancouver Canucks won 38 games to capture the first Smythe Division championship, and Smith was the key. He played in 72 of 80 games with a record of 32-24-9. His 6 shutouts that season is still a team record. He finished 5th in the Hart Trophy balloting that season and played in the NHL All-Star Game. Smith credited old teammate Tony Esposito for helping him improve his concentration during games.
And I think he's the best goaltender in hockey, and I love the guy, and he's taught me a lot, and he's taken me from a mediocre goaltender to a little bit better than mediocre anyway. Well, he taught me, I think, mostly concentration. I used to lose my concentration. Now I concentrate in 5-minute cycles. I divide the game into 12 5-minute cycles, and I hope that they don't score me in the first 5 minutes, and even if they do, then I say, well, they're not going to score me the next 5 minutes. And even if they do, I say they're not going to score in the next 5 minutes. So I concentrate the whole game like that, and I find that this really helps me.
By virtue of winning their division, the Canucks received the first-round playoff bye, but drew the Montreal Canadiens in round 1. Try as they might, the punchless Canucks could not solve Ken Dryden and the Habs, and they lost in 5 games. Gary Smith had carried them as far as he could.
Lafleur fanned on the pass, then he got it to Wilson. Wilson is over the line, there's the shot, oh, what a save! A splendid save. Here come the Canadians to the line. In goes Lambert.
Small business owners who want to save time and money should go to buyberg.com to get a pop.
And a tremendous save by Smith and Lambert. Right in front of the shot by Savard. Coming out, he lost it. Here's Lafleur playing it to the other side. Now Cournoyer coming in. Cournoyer shoots. Oh! That was probably the best save. Here's Cournoyer trying.
After that momentous 74-75 season, things skidded downhill for Smith and the Canucks. In 1975-76, the Canucks still managed to finish above 500, but Smith's goals against average ballooned from a team record .309 to a personal high of .350. He went 20-24-6 that season, which would prove to be his final in Vancouver. Smith's future in Vancouver was doomed, thanks to him leaving the team after a loss in Pittsburgh and then sealed by his drunken antics at a Canucks Christmas party. A heavily intoxicated Smith was introduced to the wife of Canucks owner Frank Griffiths Sr. and was informed that her father was Dr. Ballard of the dog food company fame. Smith replied that he could, quote, see the family resemblance from the can. That summer, Smith was traded to the Minnesota North Stars for Cesar Maniago. But by 1976-77, the North Stars team was in disarray, and Smith won just 10 of the 36 games in which he appeared. That summer, he was released and signed with Tom McVie's lowly 1977-78 Washington Capitals, where Smith labored through 17 games, winning just 2. Now, curiously, he was returned to the North Stars late in the 1977-78 season, and he played well in 3 games. but perhaps he played too well. After his third game, Stars GM Lou Nanne, who was allegedly tanking the North Stars to get the consensus 1978 #1 draft pick Bobby Smith, demoted Gary Smith to the Fort Worth Texans of the CHL. Smith continued his stellar play and led the underdog Texans